So you're saying if you live a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way.
Absolutely. And I also would argue that I think we've evolutionarily, even though I do believe in God, I think that we've designed ourselves and the human has grown into a way where if you feel depressed or sad, I think that's a fantastic trigger or a warning signal to do something. If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to complete this monumental task. You have to conquer the world. I would say, okay, but I need a emotional motivation to do that. I need to be unhappy having not completed the task. I need to be uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable being out of shape, you'll get in shape. If you're happy being out of shape, then you're just going to stay out of shape, right? So if you feel a degree of uncomfortableness inside of your mind, I think it's just your mind telling you that something about your life needs to change.
Yes.
You need to get up and change something. Guys would say to me, I'm depressed because I'm fat and I have no girlfriend. And I'd say, no, you have no girlfriend and you're fat and that's why you're depressed. If you go change those two things, you'd probably be surprised that your disease goes away. I had another guy say he was going to kill himself. I said, listen, it's back when I used to reply to my emails and I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
I said, get a six-pack first, get in fantastic shape, and then do whatever. Didn't want to kill himself. It was fantastic.
So he did it?
Yeah. I have the before and after up on Twitter. Kind of interesting, that, isn't it? So how are we going to say we have this disease, which is cause and effect? How are we going to say we have this disease where there's something wrong with you as a man, you have a disease because your life sucks? I mean, I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it.
You'll find early on that there's a lot of fighting background or wrestling. It teaches you how to get out of a pinch, that there's always a maneuver out of something that feels impossible to get out of.
Yeah.
So I'm curious for you, like what are some parallels like that kickboxing taught you on a tactical level for life?
I think that a lot of people who are afraid to do something like professional fighting imagine that the fighters are not afraid, which is not true. True bravery is to be afraid and do it anyway. If you're not afraid, you're not being brave. It's easy to do something you're not afraid of doing. Well, then you're not a brave person in the first place. If there's something wrong with you in your head, and you're psychopathic, and you can get in the octagon for essentially a fight to the death with a man who has dedicated his life to being good at fighting to the death, and you have no nerves whatsoever, then there's something wrong with you, and you're not brave. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Fighters are afraid, but we do it anyway. And I think that's a good mantra for life, to be afraid, but do it anyway. That's the whole point of life. That's how you're going to get most things done, whether it's business or anything else. And you become very good with nerves, and you become very good with a poker face. And you become very good at doing the things you need to do regardless of how you feel at the time. You may feel intimidated, or you may feel nervous, or you may have a bad day. You may have a cold. You may be tired. Who knows? You have to fight on that day at that time. It's showtime, so it has to be done.
Right.
And I think it's a good mantra for life overall. And especially when they threw Tristan and I in jail, for example, which we could talk about later on. But when they throw you in jail, obviously you're about to walk into a Romanian dungeon. You're not sure what it's like. And Tristan and I looked at each other and kind of smiled because we knew it's like walking into the octagon. It's the same thing. You don't know where you're going to be. You don't know what the other guys in there are going to be like. You just have to poker face it and act the way you're supposed to act regardless of how you feel. And I think that's the true masculine imperative anyway, isn't it? Aren't men supposed to go through life doing what they're supposed to do because it needs to be done as opposed to doing what they feel like doing? There's a lot of people who complain about the bad things that happen in their life, not understanding that without the bad things, you'd have no life at all. You need all of the bad things. You need the mental struggle. You need to go through things which you regret. You need to sit there so that if you've never regretted any action you've ever taken, how can you sit and make an intelligent decision for the future? You can't do it. Yeah. You need to sit and say, well, I felt the sting of regret for X. I don't want to feel the sting of regret for Y. You need this experience. And that's what life is all about. People think that life is just the good times. And this is the massive misconception. Love is a perfect example. Let's use love. Because people think being in love is holding hands and I hold hands and we cuddle in bed. I love them. Love is the whole spectrum. Love is missing them. Love is breaking up with them. Love is being sad they don't text you. Love is the whole circle. There's no up without down. Anything that has the ability to emotionally affect you positively has the ability to emotionally affect you negatively. There's nothing in the world that can only affect you in one direction. Even something as asinine and stupid as an object. We'll go back to cars because I used it earlier. If I buy a car for €6 million and it makes me very happy, if that car sets on fire at random, I'm going to be extremely angry. This is what happens. If it's a Nissan, it won't make me happy, but if it sets on fire, I won't be sad. They're directly correlated. Anything in the world that makes you happy that you currently have, whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it's a scenario, whatever it is, also has the exact inverse capability to make you extremely angry. So you have to accept this.
Did you work jobs? Oh, did I work jobs? Yeah, I worked loads
Well,
of
like
jobs.
retail jobs and stuff, yeah?
Oh, no, what? Fast food jobs.
Okay, fast food jobs, yeah?
I did 6 months in the McDonald's drive-thru. I worked 3 years in a pret-a-manger store in Luton Airport making sandwiches. So if you guys
Luton
ever
Airport as well, that's a proper shithole.
If you ever,
Sorry.
oh, terrible. No, you're completely right. So if you ever fly from Luton Airport, just before you get to the departure gates, the ones on the
Yeah,
left
I know exactly
anyway,
what you're talking about,
there's a big pret-a-manger store. When that first opened, I was one of their first members of staff at 15 years of age. I worked there for 3 years making sandwiches. So I've done the horrible jobs and I've done the fast food jobs. And it's those jobs, the real selling your time for money hour by hour, that teaches you the value of things. Even now, I jokingly laugh with Andrew when I buy things. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'll calculate like how many hours would I have had to work in that job to buy, say, the Bugatti. And it's something crazy like 310 years of constantly working at that sandwich shop. No hours off,
310
no
freaking
days
years.
off. So yeah, so we're talking at like 4 human lifetimes.
Did you have any side hustles whilst working those jobs?
You know what? No, I didn't, because my effort wasn't wasted, though. I didn't waste my time because all of my spare effort went into kickboxing and kickboxing training. There were people at that store who were breaking rules of the store. Obviously, when you're allowed to take sandwiches home, they were selling them and stuff, but that could get you fired. And I was like, well, why sell sandwiches? I'll just go to the kickboxing gym. I'm making enough money. So it wasn't a side hustle, but I certainly wasn't wasting my time. When I preach to young men now, if you're working a job and you go home, no TV, don't play video games, limit your access to all sort of junk media, spend your time doing something productive. At least my kickboxing was something productive, even though it did, I guess it made me some money. I got paid to fight. So I guess that was a side hustle, but I learned so much more from that than I ever made financially.
If you want to send me long emails convincing me why it's okay for you to be a loser because you have something called depression, I will ignore you and continue to be fantastic. So you can stay there and fail. I don't care. I don't care. The most you can hope for, sending me a long email trying to convince me depression is real, is that my brother and I laughing. That is the best that can happen. Look at this idiot. Look how hard they're trying to convince me that it's okay to be a sad failure.
I'm too tight.
Well, what color's your bagag?
My name is Christian Tate, professional kickboxer. I was the European champion, now retired.
So how do you find happiness? Happiness is in struggle. The struggle and the size of the struggle you're facing, along with how important it is and how important you feel it is deep in your heart, is directly correlated to how successful and how happy you're going to feel all of the time. Struggle is extremely important for a man, and you should be looking to inject struggle into your life permanently. We talked about this in the past emergency meeting, because if you're injecting struggle, and that struggle, solving those problems lead to a positive place, once you become addicted to it, you're going to become a machine of monumental achievement. There are some very simple basic things you can do: weight training, chess, having debates, trying your very best to take care of your mother, retire her, make sure that your people who you love are taken care of. You need goals and resistance and something to fight against to live well, because the distance between pain and joy is what we experience. If you only have joy all of the time and no pain, you are not going to be happy. You don't need drugs, you don't need alcohol, you don't need parties or festivals, you don't need fun. Fun is the vector from which Satan operates. Every time you look at something which is fun, it's all just hedonistic. There's no money to be made. You don't retire your mother. You don't help the world. You don't give to charity. You don't become stronger. You don't become wiser. You don't learn anything. Next time you think of what is fun, someone goes, guys, come, it'll be fun. Sit there and go, wait. Will it? I believe that it's pain that teaches. I don't believe men especially can learn any way besides pain. We talk about learning a lesson the easy way or the hard way, and I'll tell you something. We've all been offered chances to learn a lesson the easy way our entire lives. And guess what? We didn't learn anything, and we kept doing it. It's natural and intrinsic inside of men. You'll see a man drive a car too fast and almost crash 100 times, and he won't learn his lesson until he's crashed that car. We only learn things the hard way. It's only pain that can teach a man. Every single time something bad happens to me, that's how I see it. I see it as God teaching me to make me more wise, more formidable, a more capable opponent, and that's how you have to approach life. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No, to be a hero, you have to suffer. If you're suffering in some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you're heartbroken because your girl left you, or or whatever. If you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself. That's exactly what life's supposed to be about as a man. If you want to be a superhero in life, you need to understand that for 80% of the movie, you're going to suffer. For 80% of the movie, you're going to lose. Watch any superhero movie. For 80% of the movie, it is nothing but pain and frustration and difficulty. And when your life is that way, you have a chance to grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing he puts in your path. Think about a superhero movie. A man is unfairly imprisoned in a Romanian jail cell and trained so hard he emerges stronger than ever before. That is a movie. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. We are living movie scripts. Why? Because we have bravery. Most men sit there and wonder why they're depressed, because you don't get to live a movie. You're not the main character of anything. You're not even a secondary character in anyone else's movie. You're an unimportant nobody because you were afraid your entire life. You've lived like a coward your whole life. You were afraid of what might happen if you have some balls. And then you wonder why you're depressed. I'd be depressed if I was you. Of course, your life sucks. I'd rather go to jail as me than live free as you. Because when you're free, you can't even do anything. You can't go where you want, you're broke. You can't have sex, girls don't want you. You can't speak because no one listens. So what are you free to do? You're more in jail than I ever was. My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead. Fine. But every single part of me, my mind, my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. A lot of men no longer have shame. You have no shame left. You should be too ashamed to be a coward. You should be too ashamed to do the wrong thing. Where's your shame? Well, we destroy that, right? We destroy that even in schools with men and stuff. I'll tell you something. My brother can shame me into doing something. He can shame me. He can call me a pussy or a coward, and I'll stand up and say, no, I'm not, and I'll do the brave thing. Shame works for men sometimes. I say to men all the time. Men come to me and say, I can't get a girlfriend. And say, it's because you're a loser. You are a loser. Change that fact. Come to me and prove to me you're not a loser. I will shame him, and he will react to it, and his life will improve. But now we have men with no shame. They'll walk around with no shame at all, and then we wonder why we have a whole bunch of cowards. Cowardice is always the easy choice, but you should feel too much shame to take it. That's the problem. It's the path of man, it's the path of victory, and it's the only path to truce. It's the only path to genuine happiness in your heart. There's one path. There's one. There is one path to happiness, and that is masculine strength, and that is eating pain for breakfast and becoming a better person. The flavor of life is pain. You try to change the flavor, you're going to end up disappointed, you're going to end up weak, you're going to end up miserable. Accept the flavor and learn to love it. That's the only path to genuine competence and happiness within yourself as a man.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read, and it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc., and the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress was really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt. It's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel, the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems that he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars. Because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely not very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today, and the biggest problem that men face, isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they are been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. I pray to put myself in a position where if the mass media machine attempts its very best to destroy my life, I can laugh and smile from my fill in the blank. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's just a different mentality.
Where did that mentality come from? I know your background story. I've listened to tons of your interviews. I know the big impact, especially your father, had on your life. Was there a single, or were there a handful of pivotal moments for you where your mindset just shifted? I know you've talked before about being young and seeing people driving by in flashy cars and it annoying you and not annoying the people around you, but I'm really curious to know where the Tate mindset came from.
It's a good question. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has a mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas, it's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside, but like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Good. Andrew, they took $10 million out of the bank because they canceled you. Good. Good. That's just my response. Good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano, and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano, and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, no, Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset, they know my determination, they know I'm stubborn, they know I don't quit, they know I'm gonna win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even, how I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like, I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. I didn't cross my mind about I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do, but I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects. I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day where I'm particularly happy, and I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression is a... I've argued this point endlessly. And I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even if, heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe in it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. To the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual. I don't know how I'd function in society. I think that life is very, very hard for a man. It was certainly very, very hard for me. I can't imagine having no mental resilience. I can't imagine being that fragile. I can't imagine being that offendable. I can't imagine believing there are systems which are going to oppress me and prevent me from ever becoming everything I want to be. I can't imagine being that way. If I were to try and absorb all those mentalities and then live a normal life, I don't think I could do it. There's a reason why these people end up on ADHD, anxiety, depression, and I get it, because it's just suicide. It's literally mental suicide. My point is, I don't understand, or I don't fathom the concept. I don't wake up and think, what can I do? I don't wake up and think, what is it I want? That never was. I wake up and think, I have things to do. And if I don't have things to do, I'll find things to do. You can always do more. There's no such thing as no work to do. After this podcast is done, you can make X amount of episodes. And you could watch it back, you could analyze it, find a way to save the dictionary, find new words, learn them, analyze them. Then you can sit down and rehearse it, use those words and sentences to make sure you pronounce it correctly, don't make mistakes. Then you could always do more work from the same thing. The work is never ending, the money is never ending. So you have to find joy in your work. You have to find purpose, at least. I don't know if I even find joy in my work, because I'm stressed and annoyed. I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we made $1.3 million today? It's a joke! Flip the computer. But you have to conquer the earth. Let's talk about this. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and think, you know what can I do for fun? I can play this instrument. Shit. Play the instrument for me. Diddly-diddly-lee. Boring. Okay, let me fuck this girl. Fucked her. Fuck her. Oh, kid number 84. What's there to do? You know what, guys? Let's all get our horses and let's just ride over there, and whatever we find, let's just take it. Why? Because it's the instinct to conquer. It's inside of a man. It's been dumbed down by the Matrix. They try and numb you. They numb you with entertainment. They try and put you in the festival crowd. They numb you with shit food. They numb you with depression, all this other garbage. But truthfully, if you're a man, you look in the mirror, what will make me happy? My empire will make me happy. That's why Alexander the Great did what he did, and Julius Caesar did what he did, and Genghis Khan did what he did. They didn't have Google Maps. They didn't know where they were going. They just said, no, we've decided we're going to go take shit from other people and show we're the best. And that's what we're doing now, the successful men at least, in a financial sense. Why am I making money? I have nothing to buy. There's nothing to buy. I have it all. I have 4 Kernan's eggs,
a Rimac, a Bugatti, 53 other cars, 40 properties. There's nothing to buy. I'm just taking it from other people. I'm winning the game. I'm conquering. And that's what I think truly is going to give you purpose in life. It's just conquest. Men have always been this way. That's why war was even happening in the first place. The Mongols raided Vienna. How long does it take to ride from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, on a horse to Vienna, Austria, across all of Siberia? And they were still mad enough and bored enough to go, nah, we need that city over there. That's the masculine essence, and it's been numbed down inside of people. Do you think they were ever considering fun at any point during this conquest? I don't think they were.
Well, do you think they were just trying to dominate others?
I don't think it's about trying to dominate. I think that inside of every single man, there's a God-given. I think that the entire world was built by this God-given drive to conquer. And to conquer doesn't always mean dominate others. You can conquer the sky by building a skyscraper. You can conquer by building roads. You can conquer by construction, not only by destruction. You conquer by turning up to a new territory and having a beautiful family and creating children. I think that's inside of every single man. I think it's been dumbed down by the Matrix, but I'm uninterested in fun. I don't understand the concept of fun. Fun is for women and children. All the women around me have fun. Last night, I went to a restaurant. My brother and I, 3 or 4 friends, maybe 25 of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life, sit down at this table. All this fancy food comes, all these bottles of champagne come. Everyone comes, the girls are laughing, drinking, everyone's having fun. Never at any point during the entire experience did I have any fun. I sat down on my phone, checked how much money I had, again, did some work, replied to important people, spoke to my fight coach about training and important things, spoke to the war room about important things and conquest, spoke to my legal team. Everyone around me is having fun. I'm getting things done. Looks like I'm having fun. But never did I ever for a second feel fun. And I didn't want to. I didn't try and join in the fun. I didn't try and go, yeah. No. I pay for it all. You all have fun. I'm going to do this. And I say this. I say this all the time to the people I care about. Your life is fun and my life is stress, but you are mine. That's how it works. You're my woman, so you're allowed to have fun. And my life is going to stay stressed, but you are mine. I have my fun via proxy by making sure everybody I love have fun. I don't want any fun.
So you have fun in providing.
I provide fun, but I don't have any fun. I don't even have fun in providing fun. It's just my obligation. Everyone around me has fun. I'm working. The beauty of life as a man is to be great. So you have to sit here and ask yourself, do you want to be a happy loser that's insignificant? Nobody knows you exist. Women don't respect you. Men don't respect you. Nobody cares if you live or die, but you get to smile all the time. Or do you want to be one of the most important people on the planet with a little bit of stress? Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. As a man, there is no easy life. Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have 2 effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. There's 2 ways to suffer. You either suffer as becoming a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody. Pain is an extremely important part of the equation. Pain is the elixir of success. When people say this bad thing happened to me and I'm suffering, I say good. It is pain which is required. It's one of the elements in the chemical reaction. And the chemical reaction requires 5 particular distinct compounds, and you have 4 and you're missing 1. It simply doesn't work. Pain for a man is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. Batman is Batman because they killed his parents. If they did not kill his parents, he would not be Batman. You're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to take that pain. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man is you live a life with no pain in it. To be born into a rich family and have a nice, easy life and be given money, and you don't have to go to the gym and not have to train because you have bodyguards and sit around like a fuck up. You're going to be miserable and unhappy and a drug addict buying prostitutes. You're only going to have women who adore you. You're only going to feel confident in yourself and feel happy when you've been through hell and come out the other side. The pain is required, and you'll often notice that people who are better than you are people who have suffered more than you have suffered. So
The person who is waiting for you, he requires your motivation. It also requires huge amounts of pain. So when bad things happen to you, do not sit at home and lament. Do not feel sorry for yourself. Instead, look in the mirror and say, thank you, God, for giving me one of the ingredients that is needed for the chemical concoction that is going to turn me into a superhero. Because pain is an extremely important one. In fact, it's one of the most important ones for a man. Discipline is the key to success. If you cannot force yourself to do something you don't want to do, how are you ever going to put yourself through the suffering required for greatness? If you cannot force yourself to train when you do not want to train, if you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, if you can't force yourself to not log into Pornhub or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person if you cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing? The only people who get to live their lives based on how they feel are women and children. Children can cry because they feel like crying, as can a woman. A woman can start an argument because she feels like arguing, as can a child. A man must do what he is supposed to do irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. If you do not have the discipline to dedicate yourself to anything, you are going to fail and be crushed by the people who can. If you only go to the gym when you feel like going to the gym, you're never going to be as strong as the people who go to the gym when they don't feel like going to the gym. That is a reality of life. Discipline is absolutely essential for success, and you need to get very comfortable and very used to the idea of understanding that on your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless. Discipline is the key to success in all realms as a man. And if you lack it, you stand no chance. You can give most people a roadmap to success. You can give them a Ferrari with a full tank of gas, and a lot of people still wouldn't make the destination because they would say the drive is too far away. Quitters, they don't have the discipline. You can tell them exactly how to do it. You can give them the mechanism to get there, but they don't have the discipline to complete the drive and end up at the destination. That is the majority of Earth. This is your competition. People who, even if they are told what to do, and people tell them exactly how to do it and help them do it, still quit, still fail because they lack discipline. Even me, with my monumental powers, I can't make a quitter successful. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how easily I make it for them to succeed. It doesn't matter how compendious and concise and powerful the real world is. It doesn't matter how much I text them and motivate them, how many emergency meetings I do to try and talk to them and hype them up, how much motivation I give them. It doesn't matter what I do. If they are a quitter, guess what they're going to do? They're going to quit. No matter how simple a map is to read, no matter how fast a Ferrari is, somewhere along the drive, the sun's going to get in their eyes, and they're going to sit there and go, I don't like this, this is hard, and they're going to quit. Quitters are the number one type of people that nobody can help. If you're a quitter, I can't help you, life can't help you, God himself cannot help a quitter. So if you lack discipline, you lack the very basic building block to any type of success which exists on the planet. By every single metric which can be measured with science, you are going to stay a loser and a failure. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios, so I made sure none of them scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep with a smile on my face. Yes, that's what I deserve. And every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that thing, the world, all in all, generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what you get 99% of the time? A good life. If you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slaps 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, snakes his friends, talks behind people's back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, etc., who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place, all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it, and that's why you don't have it. I think that as a man, your happiness comes from feeling respected over feeling loved. And the reason perhaps you're happy now is because you have more respect for yourself because of the decisions you're making, and you have self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of men, even if they have self-respect, if nobody else respects them, they're struggling. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do. In the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You can be a genuine force for good in the world. And know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. If you never make a mark on the world, then you effectively never existed. And when you're gone, nobody will care. And that's very important because you have a duty to your ancestors and you have a duty to God. So you must make a choice. And this is a genuine choice for you people at home. Do you want to live in obscurity forever and be invisible and not matter and have an easier life? I would argue that it's not easier because in your heart and in your soul, you're going to feel guilty knowing you could have been something you're not. Or do you want to try your absolute best and struggle and suffer every day of your life paying the rent for all of the amazing things around you? We pay endless rent. We pay rent for our bodies. We pay rent for our relationships. We pay rent to keep our kids. We pay rent to keep our business. We pay rent to keep our freedom. Every single day is work to pay the rent. It's absolutely never ending, and you have to make that choice. So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, you need to decide. Do you want to be invisible with a lower rent bill, or do you want to be important and work hard and suffer to make sure that the rent is paid? It's a choice you must make, and it's binary, and you must be extremely dedicated towards the decision you finally make. Everything is war. All of it. Sitting in the commute without losing your patience is war. Trying to find a way to escape your slave job is war. Keeping your wife happy and your children inspired is war. Training to become stronger than before is war. It is all war, and it cannot be avoided. And I'll tell you why it's war, because war is two opposing sides trying to achieve the same goal. Two opposing sides want the same land or the same influence over X land. And the car you want, the Ferrari, you're not the only person who wants it. The reason it's so expensive is because others people want it. The girl you want, the beautiful woman, everyone wants her. It is war. It is competition. Everything about life as a man is war. It is conflict because you are competing against the other men who want it the same, which is why discipline is such an important thing, which is why you must take the pain and add it to the concoction to become as formidable as possible. Life is war. This idea that you can go through life as a man and avoid war is probably the biggest mistake that most men make, because it is impossible for you to achieve anything significant without war. Running a business is war. Running a hotel, running a restaurant, running an online company, it's war. Training is war. Life as a man is war. You need to wake up and view it exactly as what it is. Everything I want, other people want. Everything I desire, other men are trying to get. This is a war, and I must outcompete them. That is the best possible mental model you can have. Even in jail, it was a war for who could stay most calm. A war who could control their mind best. A war for who could suffer the least. That is war. I was surrounded by people who lost their minds and I refused. It was a battle and I was successful. Life in and of itself as a man is a never-ending struggle and a never-ending battle. It is the constant of the human condition. I think everybody on the planet has something. If you walk through life and feel like you have nothing to prove, then you're a loser. If you wake up each day and go, I don't owe anybody anything, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, then you are a loser because you are absolutely not incorrect. You must prove yourself to other people. You must prove yourself to your bloodline, as we just discussed. You must prove yourself to God. God hates the lazy. He can't stand them. If he gives you all these genetic dispositions and these natural God-given gifts, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and then to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You get to build who you are. Then you can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan. I don't owe them anything. Don't owe them a thing. So I want to play video games.
If you look at anything that builds a man into a man, there's a degree of suffering. It's usually the things that made you the best version of you are usually the worst things that happen to you.
When are you even testing yourself in your day-to-day life? You're going to work, you're doing your job, you're sitting with your girl, you're playing video games. Where's your challenges? Where's your tests? How are you going to ever improve as a person if the most you do, perhaps, is sometimes go to the gym and follow a workout routine? There's no challenge, there's no fear, there's no consequence, there's nothing. You're never going to be at the upper echelon of masculinity unless you've been through difficult and hard things. If you're watching this, ask yourself a question. When's the last time you genuinely tested yourself? When's the last time you genuinely felt challenged? When's the last time you sat down and thought, I have to make this work? I need every single ounce of my strength and my capability and my competence to get myself in a situation where I can pull this off. You may not have done it your entire adult life. You've been avoiding these kind of situations because you're scared of the consequences.
So many men say, I want to be the man, but they don't want to suffer. They don't want to fight. And I don't understand why, because even if you look at a superhero movie, they tell you, even in superhero movies, they make it very clear. Batman's parents died. That's why he's Batman.
It's only pain that can teach a man. You need the difficulty. You need the suffering.
All the bad things have to happen. There's no way to get there without the bad things.
Win or lose, you can be a hero if you just fight. Why are you so scared of losing? What's the worst that's going to happen? You have a black eye, you'll heal. When's the last time you even pushed yourself to do anything? When's the last time you got punched in the face? I miss my black eyes. Oh, you're scared to get in the ring. So was I. Still did it. Being a man isn't about not feeling things. It's about acting the way you're supposed to act, regardless of how you feel. I'm not afraid of feeling bad. I'm not afraid of anxiety. I'm not afraid of panic. Pain, for a man, is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. There's one path. There's one path to happiness, and that is masculine strength, and it's eating pain for breakfast. Men full of resilience who decide to resist oppression. Those are the kind of men that can literally save a nation. You need to find something you're afraid of and go do it. Pain is required. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. Name a single attribute for masculinity which is going to come from a place other than trauma or pain. People say, I've had a traumatic life. I say, well, then you're very, very fortunate. You had a traumatic life. Now, you may have misused that trauma. You may have misplaced it. You may have accepted the Matrix telling you that you now have an excuse to fail, as opposed to using it to grow. But every single man of value went through trauma, and they went through pain. It's going to be painful to get strong, painful to get rich, painful to become important. It's going to be painful to become good with women. Your heart's going to get broken a bunch of times. You have to be prepared for the pain. If you're not ready for pain, you're never going to be anything that matters. There's a version of you that never sleeps in, never skips training, never wastes time. There's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. Genuinely ask yourself a question, you at home. If you had done those things for the last 2 years, you never skipped a training, you never wasted time, you never scrolled TikTok, you never sat aimlessly on the internet typing in garbage, never played video games, you never wasted time. You never skipped training, you were training every single day. You never slept in, you were never lazy. There's this version of you. Imagine the person you would be. Genuinely imagine what you would look like. Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you. And the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you, and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things, and he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person. My brother and I are not from rich families. We were not from advantaged beginnings, but I knew I had to be a big, strong, fighting billionaire. That's what I knew I had to be. Discipline is the key to success. If you cannot force yourself to do something you don't want to do, how are you ever going to put yourself through the suffering required for greatness? If you cannot force yourself to train when you do not want to train, if you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, if you can't force yourself to not log into Pornhub or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person? You cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing. The only people who get to live their lives based on how they feel are women and children. Children can cry because they feel like crying, as can a woman. A woman can start an argument because she feels like arguing, as can a child. A man must do what he is supposed to do irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. If you do not have the discipline to dedicate yourself to anything, you are going to fail and be crushed by the people who can. If you only go to the gym when you feel like going to the gym, you're never going to be as strong as the people who go to the gym when they don't feel like going to the gym. That is a reality of life. So, I train every single day. I've actually heard from some people saying, you overtrain. And I explained to them, one, I don't believe in rest. I'm not you. I'm not pussy, and I'm not broke like you are, Mr. Fitness Trainer, standing around the gym teaching people for $50 an hour. I don't need to listen to you. Secondly, I don't train because I want to get bigger. I train every day because it is difficult to train every day. It hurts. I don't want to. I wake up and I'm busy. I have other things to do. I don't feel like doing it, so I force myself to do it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that I know I'm the kind of person who can do what he doesn't want to do when it needs to be done. I am that man, and it is more of a mental exercise than a physical exercise at this point. How can you ever outcompete me if I can force myself to do the things I don't want to do and you cannot? Discipline is absolutely essential for success, and you need to get very comfortable and very used to the idea of understanding that on your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless. Discipline is the key to success in all realms as a man. And if you lack it, you stand no chance. You can give most people a roadmap to success. You can give them a Ferrari with a full tank of gas, and a lot of people still wouldn't make the destination because they would say the drive is too far away. Quitters, they don't have the discipline. You can tell them exactly how to do it. You can give them the mechanism to get there, but they don't have the discipline to complete the drive and end up at the destination. That is the majority of Earth. This is your competition. People who, even if they are told what to do, and people tell them exactly how to do it and help them do it, still quit, still fail because they lack discipline. Even me, with my monumental powers, I can't make a quitter successful. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how easily I make it for them to succeed. It doesn't matter how compendious and concise and powerful the real world is. It doesn't matter how much I text them and motivate them, how many emergency meetings I do to try and talk to them and hype them up, how much motivation I give them. It doesn't matter what I do. If they are a quitter, guess what they're going to do? They're going to quit. No matter how simple a map is to read, no matter how fast a Ferrari is, somewhere along the drive, the sun's going to get in their eyes, and they're going to sit there and go, I don't like this, this is hard, and they're going to quit. Quitters are the number one type of people that nobody can help. If you're a quitter, I can't help you, life can't help you, God himself cannot help a quitter. So if you lack discipline, you lack the very basic building block to any type of success which exists on the planet. By every single metric which can be measured with science, you are going to stay a loser and a failure. The key is to keep training. If you train hard every single day, you don't have to worry about a little bit of vitamin C. It's true. If you don't train and you don't smoke, you're still going to be a pussy.
Yes.
The answer is always hard work. As soon as you are granted life, you are guaranteed death. What you do in between is up to you. You are all conscious. That could end tomorrow, that could end in 100 years. But the time between the beginning of your consciousness and the end of it is completely up to you. Training is never the wrong decision. If you're in jail, you should train. If you are free, you should train. If you are rich, you should train. If you are poor, you should train. If you smoke, you should train. If you don't smoke, you should train. If you drink, you should train. If you don't drink, you should train. You cannot escape that hard work is always the correct decision. There is no time in any scenario when working hard is going to be the wrong answer. You should always try your very best in all things. I will smoke 10 cigars a day and beat the shit out of you because I train harder than you can possibly fathom. Pain is an extremely important part of the equation. Pain is the elixir of success. When people say this bad thing happened to me and I'm suffering, I say good. It is pain which is required. It's one of the elements in the chemical reaction. If a chemical reaction requires 5 particular distinct compounds and you have 4 and you're missing 1, it simply doesn't work. Pain for a man is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. Batman is Batman because they killed his parents. If they did not kill his parents, he would not be Batman. You're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to take that pain. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man is you live a life with no pain in it. To be born into a rich family and have a nice, easy life and be given money, and you don't have to go to the gym and not have to train because you have bodyguards and sit around like a fuck up. You're going to be miserable and unhappy and a drug addict buying prostitutes. You're only going to have women who adore you. You're only going to feel confident in yourself and feel happy when you've been through hell and come out the other side. The pain is required, and you'll often notice that people who are better than you are people who have suffered more than you have suffered. So the person who is waiting for you, he requires your motivation. It also requires huge amounts of pain. So when bad things happen to you, do not sit at home and lament. Do not feel sorry for yourself. Instead, look in the mirror and say, thank you, God, for giving me one of the ingredients that is needed for the chemical concoction that is going to turn me into a superhero. Because pain is an extremely important one. In fact, it's one of the most important ones for a man. Everything is war. All of it. Sitting in the commute without losing your patience is war. Trying to find a way to escape your slave job is war. Keeping your wife happy and your children inspired is war. Training to become stronger than before is war. It is all war, and it cannot be avoided. And I'll tell you why it's war, because war is 2 opposing sides trying to achieve the same goal. 2 opposing sides want the same land or the same influence over X land. And the car you want, the Ferrari, you're not the only person who wants it. The reason it's so expensive is because others people want it. The girl you want, the beautiful woman, everyone wants her. It is war. It is competition. Everything about life as a man is war. It is conflict because you are competing against the other men who want it the same, which is why discipline is such an important thing, which is why you must take the pain and add it to the concoction to become as formidable as possible. Life is war. This idea that you can go through life as a man and avoid war is probably the biggest mistake that most men make, because it is impossible for you to achieve anything significant without war. Running a business is war. Running a hotel, running a restaurant, running an online company, it's war. Training is war. Life as a man is war. You need to wake up and view it exactly as what it is. Everything I want, other people want. Everything I desire, other men are trying to get. This is a war, and I must outcompete them. That is the best possible mental model you can have. Even in jail, it was a war for who could stay most calm. A war who could control their mind the best. A war for who could suffer the least. That is war. I was surrounded by people who lost their minds and I refused. It was a battle and I was successful. Life in and of itself as a man is a never-ending struggle and a never-ending battle. It is the constant of the human condition. Evolution requires pain. While others complain that they do not feel happy enough, I'm happy I'm struggling. I don't want to be happy. I want to be great. This is the beauty of life as a man. You understand? I don't care. I'm happy to be struggling. I wanted to fight. You wanted to win. I wanted to fight. That's the difference. You're concerned with winning. I wanted to just fight. And we're fighting. That is the beauty of life as a man, to be great. If you concern yourself only with being happy, you are once again acting like a female or a child. Happiness is fleeting. It doesn't even matter if you're concerned only with the hedonism of happiness. You're going to drink alcohol and go to parties and go to festivals and take drugs. I want to be happy. Who cares? I want to be great. I want to be great all of the time. And let me ask.
Join us now